Greetings, fellow Kerbonauts. Nerdy Spaceman here, in for the final part of the Beginner's Guide to Kerbal Space Program moon landing episode. So yeah, here we are. We got into orbit around the moon, and now we're spinning around it, and it's time for us to pick a place to land. So I say we pick this little crater over here. This crater's perfect. It's perfectly lit up by the sun, so we're not going to be landing in the dark. We can do dark missions later, I guess, but I'm not a fan of them at all. They're very difficult. So anyways, the best way to do that is you can orient it. So for example, right now we're on the bottom there, so we might miss the crater and get something else. Let's aim for straight into the middle of the crater. The way you do that is this is our crater, you want to get 90 degrees off, right there I guess, there you go. And you're going to add a maneuver, and you're going to go up like that. And the reason I do it 90 degrees is because that's the biggest difference. You go up, and this is the highest point, and then you come back down again. So you want to line it up that way. And I'm doing it a little early because the moon also rotates. It goes east, so we are anticipating that it's going to be over there somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and push our little flight path a little bit higher like that. And then at the same time, I'm going to do retrograde, and eventually get to the point where, there we are, we're going to be falling towards the moon and eventually intercepting the ground. There it is. That's what we want to do. And I'm going to go ahead and do something like that. And again, we're going to be overshooting, so we might end up changing the orbit when we get there. But I'm going to go ahead and point our rocket there. So switch off time warp, point towards our retrograde, or I mean our maneuver node. And it's going to be mostly up north, the normal, with a little bit of retrograde action to slow us down. And I'm going to go ahead and time warp us there. So as the time warp is limited, can't go faster than, it looks like 50 times, but that's still going to be very quick. So we're looping around, we're going to spin around and eventually get to that node, and it's only a 2-second burn, so it's not a very big burn, but you can see here that the moon's rotating, but we'll still be fine. So I'm going to get to the T-minus 1 second, I guess, and do our little burn. So here we are, and 2, 1, do our little burn, switch off, and nudge our way in properly, and there we go. Here we are, we got exactly the path we wanted to do, and at this point we play the waiting game. Point ourselves retrograde, because we're anticipating slowing down some more, because right now we're still moving very quickly. Like, this is lethal speed, so we don't want to hurt ourselves. But look how beautiful this is. It's gorgeous. Here we go. Now we're pointing away, so we're losing a little bit of battery, but we've got so much battery that we should be just fine. So opening up our map and watching as we get closer and closer, you'll see the crater eventually show up over the edge here, and here's the beginning of it. This little hill for the crater, and there's the crater proper, and we're hitting up that hill. So that's great. What we're going to do now is we're going to wait till we're about halfway, a little bit more, let's say a quarter of the way into the crater. Slow down, make sure we're pointing retrograde. Here we go, make sure we're pointing retrograde. And then we're going to switch on stability assist and point straight at the horizon, and then burn max speed. We're doing this to kill our lateral energy without killing any of our vertical energy. So we still want to be falling towards the surface, but we don't want to be moving across it very quickly. We want to slow that down. And we're out of fuel for this stage. That's quite alright. Jettison and switch on the next stage. And this is going to bring it down to a point where we're actually falling down more than anything else. But here we are, still pointing at the horizon, and we're slowing it down. And that should be good enough. There you go. Kill that. And we're under 100 meters per second. That's great, and we're falling straight down. Now the G key, push that a couple times, and you'll get your gears landing gears out. Then point retrograde and get ready to hit the surface. Now as we're coming here, we've got some science data from. I'm gonna log that pressure data from space near the moon. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that data. And then as we get really close to the surface, what we're going to do is we're going to burn max thrust to kill all of our extra energy. We got a little bit too much gimbling going on here, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce the gimbal. There it is. And, oh, there it is. We killed most of our energy, and we're coming down. So I'm going to do a quick EVA report, living dangerously, over the far side crater. I'm going to keep that data. and I'm going to board. Again, point retrograde, and slowly we're going to be working our way back to the surface. I'm going to turn on my lights, and it's going to give me a good radar to, there it is, you see that? It shows you, so you're getting pretty close now. Again, burn max speed to kill most of our energy. Get to about 10, and then burn just enough so that you're slowly decreasing. Now when you hit the surface, you want to be hitting the surface at about somewhere between 3 and 4 meters per second. That's like ideal. So again, you want to control it so that when you hit the surface, 3 and 4. So this is very delicate move. Here we are, we're slowing down, we're down to 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, and can kill the engine. And there it is. Switch off SAS, switch off our lights, and we've hit the moon. Excellent. I'm gonna do a quick EVA, and I'm gonna take all of these experiments here. There we go. And then I'm gonna log them. So east far side crater, east far side crater, and east far side crater. We go ahead and collect, restore. I'm gonna take that, observe this. We're gonna keep that, and then collect it, and restore it. Then we're gonna inch our way down. I'm gonna board everything, and we're gonna do a crew report, far side crater. Go ahead and keep that. We're gonna do an EVA. We're gonna space to let go. So we're resting on this little edge here. Personally, what I do is I do the R for the RCS thrusters, then I give it a little boost and back away, and then just control my descent. You don't want to, jump, because this rocket is pretty tall. So we're gonna go ahead and land, and there we are. We're safely on the surface, and Bob is loving this. He is having the time of his life. Do an EVA report, surface sample, and plant a flag, because you've got to plant a flag. Here we go, and we're gonna call this east far side crater. And this is gonna be our first. Oh, can't spell. First moon landing. Great stuff. Okay, now to get back to our rocket, we're gonna do RCS again and go straight up. Straight up. I'm gonna point our camera at the rocket and then add ourselves some energy. And you gotta keep going up because you gotta cancel out the gravity, because there is gravity on the moon. It's not much, but it's there. F to grab once you get real close and you get the prompt. And then take all that data out and store everything back in again, and we've reset all of our experiments at this point, right? Here we are, yeah, we've reset every experiment, and we're good to go. Let's do a quick review of the experiments we have so far, and we've got atmosphere from the launch pad, atmosphere from flying a Kerbin, atmosphere while spaced near Kerbin, atmosphere from Kerbin's upper atmosphere, atmosphere from, and this is all pressure scans, space high over Kerbin, and we got EVA report, over the east far side crater, atmosphere scan from high over the moon, atmosphere scan from near the moon, mystery goo from the east far side crater, atmosphere pressure from the east far side crater, temperature scan, east far side crater, material scan, crew report, surface sample, and EVA report. So that's great. Keep all of these. Excellent. We got all of our temperature scans, the barometer, the pressure scans. So we got all those taken care of, and we're good to go. So we can go ahead and close this, and we should be good on all of the experiments from now. Now, just as before on Kerbin, we want to launch east. The moon is rotating to the east, so we want to take as much of that energy, for our own as we can. So we're going to turn on SAS, max out our throttle. Oops, there we go. And point to the 90-degree mark. Now, the moment you go up, just tilt it right away and go straight to the 90-degree mark, and you don't have to worry about anything anymore at that point, because you don't have to worry about how high, because it's just a matter of getting there. So open up your map and get to 15,000 meters. Since there's no atmosphere, we can point straight to the horizon, so that's the perfect. Just go up a little bit and then point at the horizon. That should be enough. And there it is, 15,000. There we go, 15,000. Set ourselves a maneuver node. Burn prograde. Come on now. Line it up. burn prograde, and then have it flip on us. It's not a very 5-second burn. That's great. Here we go. Point ourselves at the maneuver node. Put G to hide our gear landing legs. You don't really need them anymore. There you go. Say hi, say goodbye to the East Farside Crater flag. And that flag is gonna stay there. You can actually mouse up here, and there'll be a little section here. It's grayed out, meaning when you click on it, it'll show you flags. When you start planting a lot of flags, it's nice to have it grayed out. But there it is. That's the flag. So now we know, for all time's sake, that there's a flag right here on the East Side Farside Crater. So we don't have to land here again because we've collected that science. So it's time for us to go. So first order of business, time warp to our maneuver node. And then we're going to do a quick 5-second burn. And then we're going to get into orbit. Once we get into orbit, as I discussed in the previous video, we're going to burn in a very particular location. And it's going to help us get from that particular location back to Kerbin in the most fuel efficient way possible. Here we are. Here we go, we got an orbit. And from what I remember, it was somewhere about here that it was. So you're going to add maneuver, and we're going to add program. And you'll see it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it works, I promise. We're going to keep going, there we go. Then keep adding prograde until eventually, oh, no, see, that's not the right angle. It doesn't go back to Kerbin, it starts to loop around and miss us. So we have to adjust it. There we go, see there, that's the angle we're looking for. And slow it down some because we need to get to 15,000. That's already too much. 18. Oh, that's 15. Nailed it. Perfect. So go ahead, point our maneuver node. There we go, we're pointing at the maneuver node, and it's a 27-second burn. We should have plenty of fuel for that. So it's time for us to get there. I'm going to go ahead and warp to my next maneuver. 27-second burn, so that's something like 14 seconds, 13 seconds, T-minus 14 or 13 seconds. Again, it's a lot of little math, but it's great. So here we are. We're at the 1 minute off, and we're going to manually time warp until we're at 14 seconds. There it is. And then we go. Here we are, burning max speed all the way out there. So it looks weird. It looks like we're getting farther away from Kerbin. I know it seems like that, but when you disconnect, you'll see that our orbit goes down. And that's exactly what we want. So again, get close and then adjust it manually. Oh, 10,000. That's going to be good enough. And now we time warp. And we say goodbye to the moon. We've collected all of our science from the moon, and space near, space high, and all of that. So we're fully caught up on the barometer data too now. We don't have barometer data over Minmus, but that's going to be quite alright. So here we are, leaving the moon. Changes our orbit back to here. And then we can warp all the way over to Kerbin. Make sure we slow down when we get close. Slow down some more. And again, at 200,000 meters, we're going to stop and use the remaining fuel to slow our craft down so that we don't go overboard with the speed. You don't want to go in too fast. We do have an extremely stable craft, but we'll be alright if we just slow down a bit. So again, stability assist points a little bit towards the sky. And start burning. Now it's too close, so point some more towards the sky until we get it to about 15,000. There it is. And it's going up now, so it's going to go to 15,000. And we're just watching our fuel here while we're balancing between the balancing around the 15,000 meter mark. And all we're doing is we're trying to lose as much of our energy as possible. Use the remaining fuel to just slow us down to give us a nice, safe trajectory into Kerbin. And there it is, we're about to run out of fuel. Oh, okay, so it's a little lower than I wanted it to be, but that's quite alright. That's going to be quite alright. Jettison this last stage. Say goodbye to it. Put away our radiators because we're about to enter the atmosphere soon. Point retrograde. There it is. And then stability assist, and even turn off the SAS altogether. I don't think we'll need it. I'm going to go ahead and time warp until we start entering the atmosphere, and then we'll orient it at that point. So here we are, time warping, and we're in the atmosphere now. Turn on SAS and point retrograde, and that's it. Just do this once, then go stability assist and switch it off. And now watch, we don't have any SAS, so this craft can roll and spin around whichever which way. But what's awesome about this is that we'll be able to still do just fine with time warp on. We don't have to adjust anything, so we're like letting the air pressure control us. Now remember, we had that teardrop. We have this teardrop shape. The center of mass is real near the bottom, so you'll see here it's gonna bounce like putting a marble in the bottom of a bowl, a perfectly round bowl. It's always gonna want to be in the center on the bottom of the bowl, so it's a self-correcting mechanism. And that's what's going on here. Time warps at max speed, and we don't have to control anything. This thing takes care of itself completely on its own, which is great because it's gonna make re-entry a lot faster. It doesn't take nearly as long. We don't have to wait for re-entry and nudge our way so we have a proper, angle and everything. So this is great. Here we are, we're already at Mach 2. Here it is, Mach 2. And here we are, we're going down to Mach 1. There's Mach 1, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and switch off Time Warp until we have a safe deployment of the chute. And I'm going to go ahead and deploy the chute. And we got this one big chute, so it's going to be great. I'm going to open the bay door here, and I'm going to collect pressure from flying at Kerbin, because we never got that flying at... Oh, did we? Yeah, we did while flying at Kerbin. Yes, we did. Not on the way up, we got it flying at Kerbin. I can always check in here too. See here. See, where was it? Surface sample. Nope. Launchpad, flying at Kerbin. There it is. So we keep everything. We already have that pressure. And max time warp. And it looks like we're going to land in the grasslands. So we already have signs from the grasslands, so that's not a problem. But we will collect barometer data from the actual surface of the grasslands. So again, max time warp, try to get here. And again, it's landing on the dark side of Kerbin, so it's kind of hard to see, but that's going to be just fine. We'll be alright. And this is one of my favorite lander designs. It's got this perfect teardrop shape. It's extremely efficient. You can land and collect signs from places and go back to your craft. It's got this big old heat shield. I'm a huge fan of it. Very, very, very cool design. You can do a lot with this design. You can put it on a lot of different kinds of rockets. There we go. Touchdown. We're going to go ahead and... Oh, look at that. Highlands data. Have we ever been to the Highlands? No, we have not. Look at that. We got some Highlands data. Perfect. So go ahead and observe the mystery goo as well. Do a crew report. And lucky us, we've got Highlands data. The EVA... And we can do this EVA report flying over the Highlands, which is great. Because we're on the ladders, remember that little trick? Then I'm gonna space to let go, walk off, haha. And then we can do a EVA. Oh, nope, that's not what I meant. Okay, I'm gonna grab that, I'm gonna store that, then let go. Okay, now we can do a crew report. EVA report, surface sample. Good, we've got the Highlands. Awesome, that's great. Grab, board, and recover. And we have gotten a whole bunch of signs, new data from the Highlands, as well as landing on the moon, and that is 621 signs. Oh my god, we've got so much. This is awesome. In the next episode, I'm going to do with the same rocket, I'm not even going to spend any of the signs, I'm going to get the same rocket and we're going to do a Minmus landing mission. So I'll see you there. This is Nerdy Spaceman. Stay safe and fly far.